Hey, welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. So, you saw me make this piece in the last video, right here. That's the wheelhouse extension, right side wheelhouse extension. But in the last video I didn't finish this end. Now this end's still not finished, but I have it formed in there, and I did it all with, well, I started out with the intent of doing it all hammer forming. And I did end up doing a hammer forming, but I got distracted a little bit and went right to the bead roller right away, which was a big boo-boo. But once I realized I was on the wrong track of what this video was supposed to be, I got back on track. So you'll see in this video how I form this with just simple tools. The only thing I would like to say, you'll see where I was using my body hammer for most of it. I would probably doing it again, just for advice to anybody that's heading this direction, is to go with a, like, you'll see where I moved from the body hammer to a ball peen hammer. And I would go with the ball peen hammer earlier, or maybe right from the beginning, and then finish it with the body hammer. That's my mistake, kind of started backwards on it. You know, you're so eager to want to do stuff. Anyway, I'll get back to what's going on here. This is fitting pretty decent. The only thing is, right here, it's too long right here, so I'll just have to bring it back in with the hammer. Not a big job there. And there's a little bit too much material right here, so I need to shrink this a bit so this will fold a little bit because it's kind of tipping out. So this whole thing needs to fold that way just a tiny bit, and right here is where there's too much metal to allow it to fold. Anyway, that's it. We'll get into the video, and hopefully someone gets some value from all this. Well, now it's time to put this, you can see this. I got this Cleco to the new, to the extension, wheelhouse extension I built. So I kind of roughly, I drew where I want this to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, uncleco this, unmade it, and I'm going to flatten this down. But I just wanted some reference of where some of this stuff was before I did it. And then once I get it flattened down and I allow for, you know, for a flange and the length I needed, I'll start forming this. Because, you know, I'm talking about, you know, anybody can form this stuff without big tools. So I figure, well, I probably should show that. And, you know, I do some, but yeah, it's not as much as a fellow should. But it is time consuming and it gets pretty boring. But I'll do this the best I can, and, you know, I'll stop when I feel it's getting boring and restart when it's interesting again. So yeah, so I got it lined up. I mean, these aren't, obviously these aren't 100%, but this is the overall length from where it joins back on up here at this, I don't know if you can see that or not, but on the farther end where it curves, that's where it joins into the wheelhouse. So it has to have the right length there. Otherwise it's going to throw out everything up there or back here. So mapping out the area is important. You know, and these old parts have a lot to tell. A lot of information in these old parts. Even if there's not much left of it, you can still get something from it. So don't throw them away just yet. Hang on to them until the piece is completely built at the earliest. There's this tab here that was incorporated right into the wheelhouse extension, and I'm going to duplicate that on the new one. So I may even just cut, well, I can make a new one, but I'll see what I can do. Maybe I'll just cut it off and spot weld it on. I can just spot weld that on if I just cut it right there. Boom, boom, off and it's on. Don't have to make a new one at all. I don't know what it's for, whether it's something to do with the jack, where the jack rests, or if it's just an assembly piece, but I'm going to put it back on anyway. Alright, so let me get on with this. I'll get it hammered down and then flattened out and we'll start forming. I'm not using time lapse, so let's see what happens here. Alright, so give me a few minutes to get this flattened out and put back on, and then I can cut what I don't need anymore off, and we'll get back at it. Alright, that's all flattened out. You know how I was talking, it's, well, sort of flattened out, enough to push it down, it's pretty thin. So, talking about, you know, information and mapping it out, and as I was pounding it down, there's two things that I realized that are on this, and I don't have to worry about it just yet. I have the information here, but I am going to mark one of them. I'll show you what they are. In these wheel houses originally from the factory, and I noticed in the pictures George sent, they didn't put it in, but there's a hole here, so I'm just marking what's left of the hole on there, and the rest I'll pick up just with a socket or something and just go around. Also, and that's a plug hole. That would be, I'm not sure what it is. It looks to be like a 1-inch plug. Just guessing by the radius of it. I think I could do a little better than that, but anyway. So now I have that captured on here. Also, there's actually quarter panel drain, and it's up here, and you can see. You can barely see it. You guys won't be able to, but I'll bring it over. Maybe you can, because sometimes the camera picks up more. So right there, there's another step down, step toward the inside of the car, that way. And that would be for the quarter panel drain. And there's a rubber plug for that, and it has it has a little cap on it, and 2 holes, and of course the drain hole. So I'm going to have to mark that off, and I'll have to put that in, but only after I get it welded and bent, and I'll do that. But I have this cleat now. I can always return it back to where it was. And then here's the one I was telling you about with the drain hole, or the plug rather, right there. So there's a lot of information on these. Again, don't throw your stuff out, and don't start cutting everything up right away. Make sure you understand what you're doing before you throw it off, because once you cut it, sometimes it's hard to get it back. So I'm just going to kind of roughly mark in where this is. I have no idea how big it is. I don't even have one of those plugs. I'm going to have to order some. I'm going to just kind of estimate. I think if the plug fits okay, if it's in that area, I'm pretty confident it'll be fine. I mean, like I say, the replacement extensions didn't have that in them anyway. All right, so now that I have that done, and I have this flattened out, well, now I have to estimate how much I'm going to need. So I already know that the arc of this wheel, of this flat, this is where the flat ends and it starts to roll over. So I do know I need at least that much. So I'm going to rough out quite a bit more, because I have to have a flange. So just say there, and then a 3/4 flange. That's the bare minimum. That's as long as that's where the flange was, and it may not have been there. So I'm going to go a little further out than that. And I'm just going to do a rough one. I've marked off right here where this flattens out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flatten that out now too. I'm going to take this back off. I'm going to cut this off, and then I'm going to flatten this back out. This is more than likely far more than I'm ever going to need, but that's okay. Just do it in steps. Don't go crazy with it. I mean, it is metal, and you can always put a piece back on. But for now, I'm going to leave that much. All right, so I'm going to get that cut off, and when I start flattening this out, I'll show it. Now I've got that done. I've got this marked off. Now, yeah, and I tapered that off, so it comes in flat again from here, from that mark in. So now this is a choice I have to make. I don't know if I'm doing the right choice here or the wrong choice, but if I put this bend in, this break, to make this flange on the bottom now, I can use the shrinker to help wrap this. If I do it after, it's going to be hard to use the shrinker, and I'll have to just maybe pound it around. So I think I'm going to make the executive decision to go ahead and put that break in now, and then I know as it comes around I can keep shrinking that corner and folding it around. This is just a guess on my part. Maybe someone knows better ways of doing it, but again, we do what we have to do to get this stuff done. And, you know, you have to make these decisions. They may not be right, they may be wrong, and may be indifferent, but it has to be done. So let me get that broke, and we'll see if I made the right choice or not. I put it in the brake, I broke it part way because I don't know how far this actually rolls right now, so I'm only going to do, I've just been pounding it along. I don't think it goes right under, but I'm going to go about it on a 45 roughly. So I've just got it over my sawhorse here and just giving it a few good firm taps just to get it tapping on the outer edge, not right in tight, just to get it started. Now when I'm coming up here, I can do a little bit more, but I feel I'm going to have to, because it all has to get turned. Basically this has to roll right around, so I'm going to need that to make what I'm going to need that lip to do what I want to do. There, that's probably enough for now. We can always put it on the sawhorse and do it again. So that's what I've got done there. So now I'm going to start forming this. Now I could put this, and I should have done it before. Again, this is where you're running these. I should have or shouldn't have. I could put this in the bead roller and start that tip. But this is a gradual tip. It's not a sharp tip. And I do have some. I do have some roundover tooling, so I think I will, just because I have it. Why not use it? And I'll just start the form, and even if it only goes to here, that's fine. This may flatten back out again, but that's okay, because now we have some metal memory in this, and we have a line. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll get the bead roller set up, and we'll put just a gradual roll in that. So it'll roll on that side. So we'll see what comes out of it. Worst case is you go and pound it back out and start over again. Not the end of the world. All right, I got her set up. And this is something you probably, if you're like me, not that experienced with this stuff, you'll find yourself marking it on the wrong side every time. So you'll have to duplicate your marks on each side, because this had to go this way. So I could have changed the dies around and flipped them around, but then you lose track of where the upper die is, and that's what I want to follow. Again, it's all up to how you want to do it. So I got it in there, bringing it down, and I'm going to go all right, forgot where I was already. So I'm down to the metal, so there's one full turn, and all I'm doing is tipping. I'm not trying to imprint, so this should be enough. I'll turn the bead roller down to 20, which is not too fast. A little under 20 is good. And I'm just going to tap it along slowly. And then I'll back out and get this tail up here. So what I'm doing is I'm following, this line is following the outer part of the die. Oh, it's not quite fast enough. And I may have to plug this in. Because remember, I just wanted that roll to be beyond the line. All right, it might need more power. There we go. Now I'm running into an issue already, so I'll put it in reverse. The issue is it's hitting this flange, and this is where your decision making can play a negative on you. So I see that's rolling there. I want it tighter, so I'm going to back out. This is going to be a gradual roll, and I'll probably end up doing it with the dolly over the rail track. We'll see how it goes. The whole idea of this was to show you didn't need tools, and here I'm using a tool, so maybe I should just back off and do it the right way. But anyway, so I kind of buggered up on this already, was showing people how to do it without special tools. So I'm using the rollover and the urethane wheel underneath. So yeah, so Let's see what happens. I'm going to go in a little closer to that because I want it closer than that. I didn't want it right there. It all has to have a little roll there, but let's see. I'll get a little closer. Bringing it around gradual. So now it's starting to bunch up all around. So let's just call it right there for now. So that's a good start to it, that roll, if you can see that. So now I have that started, and then now I'll just hand form the rest. And sorry about that, this was supposed to be about hand forming altogether, and here I went right to the bead roller. Forgot all about what I was doing. Anyway, so we'll continue on with the hand rolling, and you can see the marks. So that was probably one turn down was too much, so I was leaving marks in it, but since this is an interior part, I'm not going to worry about it. All right, let me get back to the hand forming like I said I was going to do. All right, got her back up there, and I'm using the one end of this. This is this wasn't by design to have these two rails the same. This rail the same height as this rail, laying flat, two different configurations. Just the way it was. But I have a couple pieces of rail. One's laying flat, so I'm taking advantage of this part right here. So now, this is going to start buckling here as I bring it around. That's fine. It's going to look pretty ugly before it looks good again. And don't get discouraged on how it looks right off the get-go. As long as you don't go so far you can't recover it. So let's see what happens. I'm going to get some headphones on because this is a loud job, and I recommend ear protection on these, hearing protection. My glasses down before I put the hearing protection on. All right. she's coming. It takes a lot, and I'm sweating. There's no doubt about that. But it looks like it may have gone over, but I can bring that back once I get this form in it. Now all I'm trying to do now is shrink this, so this is the tightest part. And this is where going to the shrinker stretcher, or the shrinker, is a big advantage because you don't have to try to bend these tucks in. And I'm trying to do this with minimal amount of tools. So I mean, I have dollies, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I could be using here, but I'm trying to do it on just on a surface, the piece of rail and what I have there. So I'm going to bring the rail back in and see how it goes. Hot work. So she's not pretty, but and she's come in, she's too far in there, so I'll have to bring that back out. If you're gonna use this loose, wear steel toe boots. That's what I can say. Get her. Just keep working it. Now if you find you have too much material here, you can always take some off, because this, as this gathers, this will grow. I'm going to try to do it without it, taking anything off. But it's coming. You just got to keep at it. That's all. And actually, I don't think, like with this one here, if you can see this, if I don't bring this around more, this is probably going to have trouble coming around without rippling this. So the idea too is you got to keep, in the end, you want your panel straight. So wherever you have some tucks or buckling, you either have to shrink it or stretch it to get this panel back straight again. But for now, we're okay. We're just getting into it now. So before I go too far, I'm going to check it against my pattern that I have. See how we're making out. I should have bent this back up, but I didn't. So if I took and bent that back, what would that look like? I think pretty close. It's just tight in here, which I'm going to continue to bring out further. As I bring this out, it'll use up some of this material too. It's trying to come in on itself because it's trying to use up this material, and I want it to shrink this material. So let's continue on. I may have to use a dolly, I don't know. I'm going to try to do it without using them. Let's see how it happens here. A lot of repositioning, I know that. Alright. Don't be afraid to move your dollies around. see how it's coming up. It wants to push this back out as I try to get that piece done. That's okay. Now, I already know I could take about a bunch of this off because I know roughly where I need to be, so I could probably just cut this off, which I'm going to do. It'll make it easier. That'll relieve some of the strain on there. All right, little break, got the sweat off, wet it again. Now I'm just gonna bring it around. Once I get this in, I'm gonna take a dolly and I'll put it in a vise and then bring this back, because this is still in too far. Grab a heavier hammer. That's getting hard to do. So I went and got the ball peen hammer, and I'll give it a little more clout to get this tuck in. Easier on the arm too. So, if you wanted to, you could get a beater bag too, and that would be able to, you could be able to put the form in pretty quick with either a ball peen hammer or one of those nylon hammers, and just get your shape in. But not everybody has a beater bag or a stump. Now, I don't have a beater bag or a stump. So you can kind of get the idea. This will take some hammer and dolly to get that look. It's still curled here, so that means there's still too much material right in this area. But that won't take much. So I'll continue on. I'm not going to continue recording. I'll probably have most of this in fast motion anyway, because It really is slow stuff, but I really wanted to show that it can be done. It's just more work. All right, so I'll get back to you in a minute. Now this is the first test fit of this. So this is what it's looking like. Now I haven't put the quarter panel on either yet, but I already see spots that need to be touched up. Right here. Now remember that this is the flange. Yeah, this one right here. There's my little pointer. If you can see it, there, focus. So this is the original flange for the inner wheelhouse, the wheelhouse extension rather. And then you'll see the behind that's a flange for the quarter panel. It's missing. So this is all that needs to be there. I want to do a little bit heavier than that, but I left that there for a reason. So as you can see now, I have the valance pulled back some, so it's pretty tight. But you can see some spots already that need to be addressed. There needs to be more arc here and then down. So this area here will have to come out some. I'll have to go that way. I mean, it's hidden behind everything, but you know, if you're trying to make the panel, why not do the best you can? So I'll have to bring this, keep using the hammers and moving it out and dolly it out, which can be done. And actually when you do that, it actually uses up some of that metal there. So any extra will be used up, because basically now I'm gonna have to stretch it back out some. So that's what I'll be doing, this area right here. The rest, not too bad. This is the original piece that went underneath. I mean, you know, it's all rusted and gnarled up, but not bad though. So the first test fit already tells me I need to do more work right here. And I'm probably going to have to weld a bit of flange on. I cut a little too much off there. So this is the dangers. Unless I find when I put the quarter on, this actually sits in more. Sort of like that. It actually feels like it should sit in like that. But I'll know when I put the quarter, yeah, the quarter does. The quarter wraps in. So you may not have to add any more on, but I don't want to take any more off. We'll put it that way. But I do need to bring this out. And since this is about the basics and how to do it with the basics, you don't even have to do it like what I'm doing, like with all the pounding and all that stuff. You can cut this flat, this piece here flat, and then you could weld on a flange all the way around. And that's how Fitzy does his work on Fitzy's Fabrication. Tony, that's how he does it. Works excellent. I mean, I would have been done this by now if I had done it the way Tony does it on his channel. But I wanted to show that it can be done with with the hammers. Definitely can be done with more industrial type equipment. That's no big deal. But yeah, so I mean, even if you wanted to use the hammers and you wanted to cheat a little bit, you could slit it and gather it together just to get rid of those that extra material and just weld it back up. I mean, obviously you're going to have a welder or you wouldn't be doing any of this. So there's lots of ways to do this that makes it easy. I just wanted to show this way. And I'm not even probably showing you the best way of this way. There's people that do this for a living that are a lot better at it than I am, but this is how I am doing it. But yeah, so if you wanted to just get your shape that you need, and then you could run in your flanges and everything separate. No big deal. It's however works for you. That's what it's all about, whatever works for you. And you're getting the results that you want, and you're happy with them. That's all that matters, because it's your vehicle, not mine, not anybody else's. So here on YouTube, it belongs to you. So do it the way you want. There she is. I've got the quarter panel back on, just hung there. It needs a little dressing. I keep forgetting to do it, and every time I go to use it, put it back on, I forget to dress this area. However, it's in there, that new piece. I just have it clamped on, it's not tacked on or anything. So, it's going to need some tweaking. And you can see right here how tight that is, what's remainder of the old quarter panel for there. So this this piece right here needs to be brought in a little bit. I thought up in here, and maybe so a little bit, though this quarter panel could come down probably 1/8 of an inch or so, but that won't give much more clearance. So this is a little bit too long right here. The valance is pushed back because it still has the flanger stuff on it, which you can see it's pretty much lining up pretty good with this flange. If I just brought this back a little bit, it would line up with this flange, and maybe have to do some tweaking. Oh, sorry, maybe have to do some tweaking right where I said before, but I'm not sure. But definitely this corner has to be brought in a little bit. That's easy to do. Do it with the hammer. Work it back. So that's it for this wheelhouse for now, until I get time to until I'm ready to go at it. Actually, I should put that hole in while I have it marked. I'm going to do that. The other hole, I'm saving the piece, but I want to put this one in while I have it marked there so I don't lose track of it and forget to do it. But other than that, that's how she's going to look, minus that little bit of a corner that's a little bit too sharp there. Just needs to be rounded off a little bit. What I would do different after building that, I think I would start out with the ball peen hammer earlier on, and use only the body hammer for the finish work. And that's really what the body hammer's for. The ball peen hammer would have made that a lot quicker. And I think everybody pretty much has a ball peen hammer laying around. If not, you can get one pretty cheap. And you can put the ball peen to do this corner. What I'll do, I'll when the time comes, I mean, I could put this in the bead roller and clean it up, but I think just with the ball peen hammer in the vise and use it like a dolly on the vise, and just put this over it and use the body hammer to make this look prettier, because this is pretty bumpy right here and it doesn't need to be. It can get that straightened out with a hammer and dolly. Mind you, it is hidden, but it doesn't matter. The thought process is the same as if you're doing one of these, and you wouldn't want all those bumps in one of these out here. So you kind of have to keep in your head that it's not good enough in some places. You know, yeah, you can put filler over it, it'll be fine. You get brand new metal under there. But you know, if you want to do good quality work, you got to keep practicing. That's where I'm at, still practicing. Long ways from being an expert at this. But anyway, that's that piece built, and it went okay. It was a lot of work, and yeah, the whole purpose of it was to show you can do it. Of this video was to show you can do it with basic tools. Even though I started out heading the wrong direction, but I caught myself. So the next video, we have to go in here. And all this stuff needs to be fixed up. But that's it for this side, because the rest of this stuff is in good shape. It's just the remainder of this inner wheelhouse, this inner wheelhouse extension. I think that's what that's called. And I'm going to reuse this one because it's solid except for the flanges. And it didn't have a flange up here. It just went up and sat on this. And this terminated right around there. So this is a pretty easy fix right there as well. This hole, that has to be there for a limit switch for the top. I can't get rid of that hole, though it looks like someone's rounded it out some, but it's solid metal there, so I'll have to fix that up. You can see kind of where that limit switch was. Anyway, that's great. That's one more piece I don't have to build. In here, this bracket needs to be built new. Might be able to rebuild it, but I won't know until I get it out altogether to see how bad it is. It just seems like this corner's gone off it. The hanger bracket's in pretty good shape. And then there was that outer, there was another bracket that went in here. Anyway, now I'm talking about things I don't need to talk about. So, that's it. I'd like to thank everyone for hanging in there. This was a lot longer video than I expected it to be, but I didn't want to cut anything out. I did just fast speed it up through all the hammering, but it's all there. All the work that I did is there. It's not been cut out So it's just in faster speed. So the old car is coming along pretty good though. She's got getting a lot of good metal in it. She's getting stronger every day. Every day I put something on, she's stronger. And that's what we're after here. It won't be long. We'll be going along the front. I want to do this whole side first, and then we'll switch her around, do the other side. So it won't be long. We'll be off of this and moving further up. The rocker panel is on it right now, but it needs to be fixed. And I think just looking at that, that's a pretty simple fix. A patch put in and some hammer and dollying here because it got pushed in where that hole is. You can see it down there, a hole. And then there's the floor panel, and there's a bit of work up in there for sure. So it'll probably be up there for a few videos, but we'll see. Anyway, now I'm getting carried away with the talking. All right, well, thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. I hope there's some value in this for somebody out there that's just starting out and thinks that they can't do this stuff by hand. Yeah, it's added work, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to hide the fact that the equipment does make it much easier. Because having the bead roller and the bead and all these other tools, shrinker, stretcher, sure make life easier, but it can be done without them. And if you're only doing a small project, a couple of patches, really there's no need to buy all that stuff. Just do it by hand. And if you're doing a big restoration like this, you need, in my mind, you'll need the better stuff. All right. So thanks a lot. I know I keep saying that. But anyway, thanks a lot for everyone watching, and really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.